In episode 1.4 of Unshuffled, we have a track-by-track discussion of the fourth Atomic Bitchwax album, TAB4. But first, as always, here's our awesome intro music from Seven Planets. Scotty D.
Matt, how are you?
Good. Chris Kosnick's got a Mellotron.
I know. You jumped. That's the first thing you said. That I was gonna. All right. That's so. I did go down that rabbit hole. I did go down the rabbit hole of what exactly is a Mellotron and what does it sound like. And I did start watching, and I should have put him in the show notes. I will. I started watching these videos. There's this guy, and he's got this YouTube channel dedicated to him just sort of faffing around on a Mellotron, playing all these, all these different songs and playing them all on the Mellotron. It's a bizarre, like the sound. I know the sound, but the actual to see the instrument itself, it's a bizarre instrument that I'm really fascinated by.
When are we getting one is the question.
There's a tape. When are we getting one? I'll see what I can do. They're huge, or at least the one this guy plays is huge.
Good.
So
bring it on.
Anyway, that's that, man. I've got so much to say about the Mellotron.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we'll save it. We'll save it for when the time comes.
Yeah. Anyway, nice to speak to you again. It's been 3 weeks since the last one.
Yes, I have. I've been in my quarantining. I've been being shuffled from quarantine house to quarantine house. So that's
I think 3 weeks is too long personally, but let's try and make it less than 3 for the next one.
Right.
I think 2's about the optimal, I find.
2's about the optimal, but we'll talk about that, I suppose, by the end, won't we? When we're discussing what things are going to look like with this next one.
Yep. How are you coping with the whole COVID thing?
I don't know what you're hearing where you are, but it's very politicized where I am.
In the US.
In the US. And it adds an additional layer of stress and concern that I guess that I hadn't considered prior to coming here. I'm in a state right now. We're currently in Vermont, where it is respected as a serious threat. My family, however, is in a state where it's not, and so that's a little disconcerting as well. Okay. But we'll see where this goes. It unfortunately has become politicized where I am.
Yeah.
I don't know what it looks like on the ground where you are.
Well, I wouldn't know. I haven't left our front gate for like a month, but I mean, within our little walls here, everything's just fine and dandy, but I'm sure on the other side, things are getting worse.
Right.
Hopefully they don't get too bad. But worrying times. Thankfully, we've got a good band and plenty of albums to listen to. So let's get into the fun side of life and let's start talking about some music.
Let's do it.
We are Unshuffled. If you haven't listened to us before, we're all about intentional listening here. We've picked a band. The Atomic Bitchwax is our first. And we're working through their catalog, album by album, track by track, and listening intentionally along the way. So taking the time to sit down and listen to the whole album from start to finish as much as we can. And every couple of weeks, we'll give our thoughts on an album. So today we're up to the fourth album, which is called TAB4. Is that what we're calling it?
That's what it seems to be called. The TAB standing for the atomic bitchwax.
Yep. Or I have seen it with T4B with a sort of stylized.
Oh, yeah. Seen that as well.
But yeah, we're up to the fourth one. So what are we, sort of halfway through, just about?
I think there's two more full length, and then there's the extended single. So yeah, we're getting there, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. 3 more full length, I think.
Oh, all right then.
Oh no. Well, okay. No, there's one coming out in May.
So you did see a release date on that? I had heard it was supposed to come out this year, but I didn't know when.
Yeah, no, I saw an interview with Chris Kosnick just earlier this evening. I found it on YouTube where he talks about coming out towards the end of May. So we'll see how we're going by that stage. Something to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Might be well timed. Maybe it'll come out just in time. Yeah.
Well, so this one, actually, speaking of release dates,
you want to talk us through the sort of details of the album?
Well, so this one, we're almost to the day 11 years from when it was released. It's April 18th as we speak, and this was released on April 21st of 2009. So this is a springtime album.
All right.
Again recorded at Red Bank Studios in New Jersey, again with the assistance of Eric Rochelle, again though primarily produced by the band. We've got we'll talk about the artwork here in a second, but I'm curious. I could not find the artist for this. I'm curious to know if you could when we have that conversation. And then go ahead.
For the Octopus. Yeah, well, there's actually 2 releases of this, right?
See, I guess you found, I could not find, and I found that you had even linked it in the show notes, but even when I clicked on it, I can't find the different artwork.
Oh, okay. So the original was released a year, it may have even been 2008, on Meteor City. And the artwork for that was the computer from 2001: A Space Odyssey, the HAL 9000.
Oh.
But they changed at the top, it said TAB4. Now, that was a limited release, 1,000 copies only on Meteor City. I think at that time, the record label was starting to run into some financial difficulties. Maybe that's a reason for the limited release. And I've actually got a bit of a theory about this album. I think there was some unfortunate timing about this album in 3 ways, which I'll get into in a moment. But yeah, they originally released it on Meteor City, 1,000 copies only, and then about a year later they released the Octopus cover, remastered, I think, changed the order of the songs and changed the artwork, gave it the sort of vintage Octopus artwork that that we've seen on our version.
Okay, because that link that you have uploaded, the image won't show up for me on my side. I'm not getting it to open up.
Okay,
well, I'll keep looking for that. I'm curious to see it. Okay.
Did you see the changed song listing?
I did. Yes, I've seen that, and I think that I mean, we can talk about that, but I definitely think that the reorganization was for the better.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, I think a song like Pawn Shop that needs to be at the end, not at the beginning.
Yes, I couldn't believe it. When I saw it, I thought, what were they doing? Anyway, I'm glad that I didn't hear that song first, because it might have sort of coloured my opinion for the first few listens, at least.
Right, right. And
Um,
I don't know how you couldn't, and maybe I'm jumping ahead of here, but I don't know how you couldn't start this album with anything but Revival.
yeah, great. It's a great opening track, and very like instantly grabs you. We'll get into that in a moment. I'll just give you my 3-wave theory on the album before we start the track by track, if you don't mind.
Yep.
I think this album suffered because of 3 waves that happened to be crashing at the same time. Firstly was the record label itself. Meteor City was starting to have trouble, and I do remember. I think it was this band talking about having trouble getting paid, and all sorts of difficulties that the label was having, which I think is reflected in some of the mistakes that were made in that original release. I think the genre as a whole was starting, the stoner rock genre was starting to die off a little, perhaps run its course, and people were starting to feel that there wasn't much more to offer in the genre as a whole. And the centerpiece of the genre was the stonerrock.com website, which was also starting to run its course. And then, I mean, even more broadly than that, albums themselves were in a lot of trouble at the time. And in the show notes, I've linked to some articles. There were a lot of articles towards the end of the 2000s talking about the death of the album and how iPods and iTunes had kind of killed the idea of an album as a whole. And I'm hoping now it's starting to have some sort of a revival, to use the Bitchwax term. But I think those 3 waves sort of together conspired to really affect this album at the time.
I think I agree with everything you're saying, and I'm thinking about this was also a moment where there was sort of that stoner rock genre was kind of, it had its place sort of in the niche and in the underground, and some of the bands like Queens of the Stone Age were starting to find that kind of commerciality, accessibility in their songwriting, and it did feel like, and I don't know if it was 2009, 2008, but it was definitely kind of the end of the 2000s there, beginning of the 2010s, where it started to become more marketable and less raw.
Yep.
I think which is a great, I really enjoyed the Them Crooked Vultures album, for instance.
Yep.
But that definitely sent Queens of the Stone Age in a different direction. By the time Josh Homme came back to that.
Yep.
So yeah, I think you're right. I do think that we definitely had the decline of the record, which I think we'd had for a while. And I think, and I think we're probably still in it, to be honest with you. But I think it'll come back. I think all of these things are cyclical. And I think it's going to take somebody with intentionality, create that album that just sort of latches on, where people sort of jump back into it. And I think there is still, I mean, like the new Tool album that just came out. I mean, there are bands that are still intentionally doing it.
Yep.
But I think we'll see it. I'm assuming we'll see it come back. And maybe it's now. Maybe it takes something like this, where there's all this talk of, which seems drastic, but there is talk of, will we ever be able to see live music again? Will restaurants ever open again? Will there ever be a moment where we're all able to gather together in masses in a shared experience? And it seems a little hard to grasp that the answer to that would be no. But it might be a while. It might be a while before we're able to go out and see live music and feel comfortable and confident and just be able to actually enjoy. So in the meantime, what are these bands doing? Are they just going to pump out singles, or are they going to I don't know, hone the craft.
Yeah, I think people are rediscovering this album. Hopefully, this podcast plays a role, or even starts the revolution back towards the album. So hopefully, we're part of that revival. Now, speaking of revival, should we get into the track by track?
We should, but there's one huge thing that we've not yet mentioned that we probably should have mentioned in the credits.
What's that?
We've once again changed band members.
Oh yes, oh yeah, we do need to discuss that.
So we've got Chris Koznick on bass, vocals, and as mentioned, the Mellotron. We've got Finn Ryan again on guitar, vocals, and he's brought in some piano now. And we've lost Keith Ackerman.
Yeah,
he's gone on and he's joined the band Solace, I believe. And Bob Pantella from Monster Magnet is now on drums. And so we've woven, now we're back into the throes of Monster Magnet again, right? Because it was that third album was the only album in their existence up till this point where they were not sort of interwoven with Monster Magnet. And now they're woven back into the thread.
Yeah. And I mean, Ackerman's a big loss for the band. We can perhaps talk more Pantella later, but maybe in the band Brownlow towards the end.
All right.
But yeah, so we're now down to 1/3 of the original lineup.
Right.
And we're also 10 years on, right? So it's a good decade has passed. The other thing to discuss just quickly, I mean, there's two lots of artwork, but the vintage octopus.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I did. I really wanted to figure out who did it. I really liked it.
Yeah, I like the vintage octopus, and I like the fact that they've sort of broken the mold, that they've broken out of the straitjacket of having to have a girl on the cover. Now they've got something different, and it sort of I think signals their intentions of doing something different with this album.
Yeah, so I have my physical copy of we talked about this last time, of the first Atomic Bitchwax album.
Yep.
And sort of where I'm living, it was left out on the table.
Oh no.
And I've got there's a trio of young nieces that come over quite often to play with my children, and that caused a bit of an uproar amongst them, and so I put it away. This is one, finally there's an album cover now that I could leave it out and it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
My son's been asking actually for the album with the octopus. He's started to quite like it himself, so yeah, I think he likes sea creatures generally, so this one kind of appeals to him.
Right. All right, so now revival. So my this I mean, just knowing that the track, that this wasn't the top of the original track list, and I think I had already said what I wanted to say about this, is that I don't see how you could really start the album with any other song. I think this is the song that has to start the album. Middleman, which I think was the original track one, and we can talk about that when we get there. Oh, I'm sorry, Pawn Shop. You're right, Pawn Shop. Which that was correctly moved to the last track. That's exactly where that needs to be. So, but and I think Middleman is best in the middle as well. So I think doing the bringing this up to the top is the way that it starts. What
was the first thing that came into your head when you first heard it?
I wasn't, by the time we get to Run is where track 9, I had processed what I was really thinking. It was, there was kind of a, when I heard it,
really?
I was just, I kind of, it felt like it was going back to that whole sort of marketability, commerciality. It felt like it was going in that direction.
Right.
And I'll explain. I've reconciled. So that was my first reaction. I did reconcile that. And by the time I got to Run, I was able to really fully appreciate what they were doing. And I'll talk about that when we get there. But my first instinct when I first heard this was just like, all right, I guess this is where this is going.
Did you think Bowie in the vocals?
No, I didn't.
Because you put Bowie into my head from the last podcast.
Right.
I just thought, man, that sounds like Bowie.
See, I did not. For me, it sounded like Stone Temple Pilots.
Ah, okay.
Like later Stone Temple. There's 2 songs on here, and this is the better of the other one that I'll talk about. But 2 of the songs on here sound like kind of more of this one could have been one of the singles for Stone Temple Pilots, but when we get to the other song, where it sounds like a throwaway on a later Stone Temple Pilots album.
Right. Because at first I just thought, man, he sounds so much like Bowie that it was almost distracting for me. I was like, am I going to be able to like this thing? Like, but I grew to like this song. There's a lot in this that I liked. And I mean, I've listened. 3 weeks is a long time to listen to an album. I've listened to this, well, not hundreds, but tens of times now.
Right.
But, I mean, the lyrics here. I mean, this is the first time we've heard anything like these lyrics. We were starting to see some better lyrics on the last album, but here we are. This is some really poetic stuff.
Absolutely, yes.
And singing about sirens calling from the rocks and some really beautiful vocals, flipping locks of blonde and straw and brown and red. There's some the production really stood out to me here. It's beautiful, rich production. Those layered vocals are back from the previous album. Some subtle harmonies through the verses. There's a real depth, I thought, to this song. And a kind of emotional maturity that we haven't yet seen from the band.
So everything you're saying now is, and I'm just going, again, I'm giving you sort of my first impressions. All of these realizations, it was on my first listen of this album. Because as I'm listening and I'm sort of just jotting down notes, all of these revelations I finally gave them credit for by track 9. Is where all of a sudden it was just sort of listening and going, man, they've sort of sharpened this. Their songwriting, they're properly songwriting now. These aren't jam sessions with the except of maybe Giant. These aren't sort of jam sessions that are just being captured and put on the album. There's the spontaneity is definitely gone. This is meticulous. This is thought through. This is layered. The melodies, they've got the melodies down. Kosnick, who seemed to be a singer by default previously, he's gotten better at what he's doing.
Very good.
His harmonies are good. And the craftwork of all of these songs is a reminder that, as you said, 10 years have passed since the first album. It's not 10 years together, but 10 years have passed. And Finn Ryan and Chris Kosnick, their workings and their inner workings as a songwriting team is definitely present on this album. And I do think the two of them work better they're working together better in the craft on this album than they were in the third album. I feel like the third album was maybe a little Finn Ryan heavy. Whereas this one, it does seem like it's the two coming together. Yeah.
I also, just another thing on this song, I thought the mellotron itself gave a lovely sort of orchestral flavor to the song. There's some beautiful playing by Finn Ryan throughout. It's a really nice, just an emotional song, a sort of mature song. I ended up, and I didn't at first because of that Bowie thing, but I ended up really liking this song.
Mm-hmm. I do now. Yes, I do. But again, as I said, the first listen was and can we move on to track 2? Because this is where I'm also so track 2 is Supercomputer.
Yep.
And track 2 for me sounded a bit more like the old Atomic Bitchwax.
Yep. Yeah, that's old.
And
Track 2 is definitely old Bitchwax.
right. And I found that I liked Revival better than I liked track 2.
Yep.
And so when I got to track 2 Supercomputer and I was listening to it and I was like, here we go. And then kind of went back and listened again and was like, actually I'm not sure that song fits.
Yeah.
Just in the sound of things.
Yeah, so we've got new Bitchwax and we've got old Bitchwax. So yeah, I mean, let's talk Supercomputer briefly. It's an instrumental. It's got those trademark cosmic runs throughout. There's enough variation, I thought, through the song to maintain interest for the 3 or so minutes that it goes for. I thought it was a good track. I don't know that it's a memorable track,
right?
But it's an enjoyable song and a reminder of what the band used to be. But certainly not my favorite song on the album.
Right. Track 3.
Yeah, Don't Do It. So this is the one in one of the releases of this. The band actually, and I put the feelers out on Twitter, but unfortunately no one ever got back to me, but I was hoping to find it. They put out the full Pro Tools 18-track file with, I was going to load it into Garage, but we could have given it the full Rick Beato treatment. Like, here, listen to these hand claps or whatever, like, listen to this keyboard. It says suspended 7th or whatever he says, but I would have loved to have gotten that. They did release it, which I thought was really unusual, and they actually invited their fans to sort of remix it themselves. So
this is Cosmic singing this one, right?
In my notes I've got Finn Ryan singing. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I have a question mark after I said, is Cosmic singing this? And this was my realization that he's a much stronger singer now than he was before.
No, because
maybe
I have a question mark too. Finn Ryan singing, question mark. Neither of us know. There's also some keyboard. To me, this sounds like a song from 3. It's got that breezy sort of. We used that word a lot last album, breezy. And it's got a sort of breeziness to this song.
I do love the dueling solo, the guitar solo, and I can't tell if that's just a straight keyboard or the Mellotron, but there's that, I can't really see but there's that sort of dueling solo kind of in the middle of the song that I quite enjoyed.
Yeah, I think it's keyboard, and I think that's Finn Ryan playing that, right? So he's dueling with himself.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, would have loved to, hopefully one day I will. If anyone ever is listening to this in the future, in the year 2050, chase me up. It's not a bad song. So now we've got, with the first song we had new Bitchwax. Second song we had old Bitchwax, and Don't Do It was just new Bitchwax, which was,
recent Bitchwax.
Yeah. So we've now got 3 incarnations of the band in the first 3 songs. So I think it was a good timing for the cover here, just to give us a spell.
So track 4.
Yeah. Astronomy Domine.
Astronomy Domine. So when I was in high school, I had a group of friends. We were all in music. We all played in bands. We all had various things that we were interested in and sort of directions that we took the bands that we were in. And I guess this would have been just right around the time of graduation, because a bunch of us lived in a house together.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole we had all of our instruments set up on the first floor, and we would all just sort of get together and jam. And three of the guys had a band, and it was completely 100% inspired by Pink Floyd's Astronomy Domine.
Oh, really?
And I gotta be honest with you, I did not like this song then, and I do not like this song now. It has nothing to do with Atomic Bitchwax, but I remember that song used to just drive me out of my head every time. And because then the guys some of the other guys that were living in the house that I was playing with, we were playing, like we would just jam through, Stooges' Funhouse album. And
Yep.
and that was the avenue we were going, and then these other guys were sort of going more the psychedelic kind of Syd Barrett era, Pink Floyd. And I remember it was just like, come on already. So anyway, there's my thought.
I had never heard this song before I heard it.
Okay.
Before I heard this version. So yeah, I didn't come in with the same prejudice against the original. I love the sound of the drums on this album. There must be a really good drum tech in that studio. It was the first time I really noticed Pantella's the drums as like, oh, that sounds good. And, I hadn't really noticed him much up to that point. I quite liked the song, actually. I enjoyed it. It's that trippy sort of space rock vibe to it. It was an interesting cover choice. I think, to me, it updated and added to the original, which is something I always look for in a cover. I want it to be faithful to the original material, but I want to have some reason to listen to it and not the original. And I thought it gave me that with the sort of modern production techniques. There were some nice guitar effects. There's that bit in the song where it all stops, and then there's a sort of echoing guitar effect from Finn Ryan. I quite enjoyed this. I almost thought this might be my favorite cover so far. It's either this or Play the Game off the second album.
Mm-hmm.
Are the standouts as far as their covers, and there's one on each album. They're my two favorite covers. Maybe this one. Oh, I don't know. No, Play the Game is still my favorite, the Atomic Rooster cover. But this, I enjoyed it, and I thought it was faithful but added to the original and a worthwhile cover. But it left me at the end of the song, having enjoyed it, thinking, now, what's next? Are we going to get old, new, or new? What's coming next? At this point, I've got no idea what's coming next in the album. And then we get Sometimes Wednesday. So this next one and the one after, I have very cleverly, and you'll laugh at my pun here, called the homage, because I just saw a big Josh Homme influence in the next. See what I did there?
What you did there. Well played.
The next two songs. So yeah, Sometimes Wednesday is the next song. How did you go with Sometimes Wednesday?
This is the one that I felt there was. Stone Temple Pilots did an album probably around the same time, maybe earlier. I think it was called it had a woman and her head was on like Shangri-La-Di-Da or something like that, and the album title anyway, it felt like an album of just kind of throwaway tracks where the band was trying to put itself back together and find its relevancy, and was sort of struggling to do so. And this song kind of sounded like it could have been something off of that album, where this one didn't do it for me. This track really, it just didn't do it for me. Whereas Middleman, the next track, I did like, and I think I might have heard a little bit of the Baseballs make a bit of a reappearance on Middleman.
Well,
and I like.
So before we get on to Middleman, my thoughts on I really like Sometimes Wednesday, so I don't want to just jump off that just yet. Mm-hmm. And I didn't make the the same connection you did. To me, it was either Queens of the Stone Age or Eagles of Death Metal, maybe a little bit, with the hand claps. I thought it was a great, fun track. I mean, yes, it's a little derivative, but I really loved the verses, like fun lyrics, and it also thought it had a great groove to it. I thought it was kind of in the same way that some of Josh Homme's work is, it had a sort of sexiness to it. It was a real kind of hip-moving song. I could see this being great on a dance floor, you know, at a sort of rock club late at night. I really enjoyed this. You know, it's got those fun hand claps, and you know, I thought it was a fun song. So derivative, yes, but I ultimately thought, who cares? I just really liked the song and thought it was. I had a really good time with the song. So there you go. We disagree.
We disagree. Whereas Middleman, I liked. I think it had a cool. I liked the sort of the bass line that kind of drove through the entire song.
Yep.
I liked that a bit of the fuzz was there, and present. And so I did, of those two homage tracks, and I liked that one better than the other one.
Yeah. Now this was bugging me because I was thinking, this sounds like something else. What other song is this? And it was sort of on my mind for the first few listens, and I realized it sounds like So Come On, which is the Atomic Bitchwax album song off Box Riff, which was a sort of mix of a kind of EP and live thing that they put out. So it's like they've taken So Come On, which is a hand clappy fun song, and there's links to it in the show notes. A really great film clip of them playing out in some desert somewhere. But then they sort of quatsified it. They gave it a sort of disjointed sort of character. So, yeah, I think they've kind of built on So Come On and then kind of refined it and a little. I did like the song, but I'd prefer to listen to So Come On if I had to choose between the two.
Refresh my memory here. Box Riff was between 2 and 3, and it was the transition from
No, that was Spit Blood. Box Riff was between 3 and 4.
Between 3 and 4. Okay. So it was, Box Riff was Finn Ryan. All right.
Yep. It's Finn Ryan, and he's in the film clip. You can see him standing out in the desert. And it's got a really cool sort of breakdown in that song. Great fun song. I actually think I looked up the listening statistics on Spotify, and So Come On was their most popular, I think, on Spotify.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. It's good fun. But yeah, I like Middleman too. Don't get me wrong. But I thought it was just a kind of reworked version of So Come On, and I preferred So Come On.
Right. So Daisy Chain, number 7.
Daisy Chain. Mm-hmm.
This one felt to me, it had the makings of the single. Yep. I don't know if it, I can check that actually right now, if it ever was. But this definitely had the feel that of that, it had the makings of that. And it was a bit sort of there was kind of a Foo Fighters vibe to it. Definitely an accessible song.
Yeah, it's got that. It's got a very cool pulsing intro. The band that came to mind for me, not so much in the sound, but in the tempo and maybe the attitude of the song, was Husker Du. Maybe that was because the first lyrics of the song are "Do you remember?", which is, of course, when you say that in Danish, it's Husker Du. But yeah, I really like this one as well. Nice attention to detail in the way it's produced, and there is a big chorus, which is probably not Husker Du like. It's quite a catchy song, but and some really nice bass lines throughout, especially in the chorus. Yeah, good song. Good song.
This song is, I think, this one was one where the production work, and if it is in fact, which I think it is, it's they're producing their own album, their own work. This song is definitely evidence that they have gotten much better at what they're doing, or at least more intentional or deliberate, because this is a very well produced track.
Yep.
Very clean, layered, dimensional. Yeah, a lot of work went into this track.
Yeah,
and
some lovely little details here and there.
Right.
Let's go with Giant.
Yep.
This is definitely old Bitchwax.
This is old Bitchwax. This one, and even if you watch the live performance from Asbury Park, it feels like how this song kind of felt to me is kind of sort of when you're doing sound check, and you're kind of everybody just sort of running through the instruments and getting a sense of the sound, and you kind of just find a groove and everybody starts jamming around it. And then after you're done with it, you're just kind of like, oh man, wonder if we could do something with that song. And then you kind of just sort of move on. This song kind of feels like that. Just sort of that you found that groove and everybody just sort of jumped in and piled on. And it even feels like that in the live performance. So it's kind of it's a cool little groovy song. And there it is. It is what it is.
I agree. But the thing is, this is, I think, the one song off this album that still gets played at almost every gig.
I'm sure it does. It seems it's kind of like you watch them playing it, and it's harmless. It probably provides. I mean, I would like to see the set list, but it's probably a transition from something to something else.
There's a fair bit of work in those cosmic bass runs. I mean, this is not an easy song for the bass player.
It's sure not. No, and you can really, when you're seeing, I mean, he is definitely working when they're playing this song.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, it's old Bitchwax. This is part of my. This was going to be my overarching criticism of this album when after my first couple of listens, like, who is this band now? Are they embracing who they are now, or are they still holding on to who they were? But then I just thought, I don't care. And by the end of it, I'm like, I'll just take each song on its own. And I really kind of like this song is an old Bitchwax song. And I think, as you can see in that clip, it works well live. So I like it.
Yeah, I do as well.
And if I was at a live gig, this would be one like, oh, they're playing Giant. I've got to get up and just try and get near Chris Kosnick and watch him play.
Yes, right. Get to that left side of the stage.
Yeah.
Okay, so Run.
All right, so yeah, the last two songs are, we've just come out of our old Bitchwax. Now we've got the two. Well, I'm not counting Pawn Shop. The two sort of remaining proper songs are new Bitchwax. So yeah, talk to me about Run.
Okay, so I had already kind of talked about this in the first track when we were talking about Revival, but this is the one where when the song came on and the song was over, it was like, okay, this is on my first listen. I see what's happening here. This is sort of like reflecting back on Daisy Chain, looking back on Middleman, sometimes Wednesday, Don't Do It Right, looking back at all of those Revival. It's just like, okay, they've definitely gotten better at this. They've turned this into an art form. I mean, they are properly sitting down and they're editing, they're drafting, these are no longer one take songs. They've definitely grown from that. And Run was where I finally sort of allowed and accepted and enjoyed where this is going. We started by saying only 1/3 of the band remains, but the Atomic Bitchwax is definitely a different Atomic Bitchwax than they were 10 years prior when they created the first album.
Yep.
And I think it's for better, to be quite honest with you. I don't know. I really like the first two albums, but I don't know that you could have built a career on that and not, I mean, and not always have remained the side project.
Yep. Yeah, no, I really like this song. I mean, you can hear a common theme here. I don't think there's been a song I haven't liked yet. It's a sort of faster tempo, kind of punky rock almost, in the same way that Daisy Chain was. But I'd love the vocal interplay throughout. You know, there's two vocalists working together throughout the song. Can sing, like,
yeah,
damn it, like the guy can sing. And you know, that's what I've loved about listening one album after the other and giving him a couple of weeks, is just hearing his evolution as a singer. That guy can sing, and it's so nice to hear a talent like that that's just blossomed over this 10-year period that they've been putting out albums. There's again some lovely flourishes and details, as you said, that this is a beautifully produced song. It's a groover. It ended up, perhaps not initially, but it ended up being one of my favorite songs on the album. Thoroughly enjoyable song.
Yep, I agree. And everything we said about track 9, I could say about track 10. The Mellotron comes back in.
Yeah, so here we're talking Wreck You.
Wreck You. And I even like the line, "All right, let's fight because I'll wreck you." It's just a good, this is just a good, fun rock song.
Yeah, this one deserves a stadium, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree.
Give this, you know, at an Oasis gig, maybe we can just sort of ask Oasis to duck off for a moment and bring on the Bitchwax for this one song. And I think it would fit right in.
I agree. It just gets,
this is my favorite song on the album. I don't know if we've had yours yet. Yeah,
this is my favorite song on the album too.
Okay, yeah. This is my sort of the Pinocchio moment where, like, you're a real boy now. You're a real band now. You're no longer a jam band. This is not only my favorite song off the album. I think it's my favorite song so far. Certainly, for the band, this is their artistic zenith to this point, as far as I'm concerned. The lyrics are great. Cut off at the knees with a safety pin. It's an emotion. There's some emotion in those lyrics about, you know, the frustrations that you feel at times being in a relationship. I thought Finn Ryan was beautifully understated, just what was needed for this song. Not too showy.
Right.
I really like that about Finn Ryan. Generally, I think he sort of knows what's needed in a song and never oversteps the mark. And there's some real value in that in the guitarist. And yeah, the Mellotron I thought really added to the song. I love this song. This is a cracking song, and you know, this would go on any playlist of mine that I'm putting together for anyone who wants to know what sort of music I'm into. Really great song.
Yep. No, I agree. Absolutely. This is it. When we get to the end of all of this, this is definitely a song that I will keep coming back to. I don't know if I'll come back to the entire album as a whole, but I'll definitely keep coming back to this song.
Yep. So then from those heights, we move on to Pawn Shop. And now this is one of those song, we spoke about the importance of the R last week. So this is one of those times where the R, you know, pronouncing your R's is important, because if I told my wife I was just ducking down to the pawn shop to see, you know, if there's anything interesting, she'd be asking some serious questions. Whereas you, being an American, you wouldn't have such communication difficulties with this one.
I assume the song is just exactly as it says. I assume that he's recording this on the guitar he got at the pawn shop. Like, this is an ode to this guitar, and he's playing it, and they wrote a song and they recorded it. I assume it's just that. It's exactly that. I I like the scratchy style recording. I think that this is definitely a buried track, a hidden track, a last track. I like that it's on there. I like that it made the album. It's definitely not a first track. Definitely not an opening track. But
Yeah,
I like it. I like it where it is.
I wouldn't have mind. I think I would have preferred it if they'd had that sort of 3 or 4 minutes of silence and then maybe just snuck this on at the end.
So that surprise, hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're almost asleep, listening to some music. Oh, hang on, what's this? Definitely not an album opener, this one.
No.
So that brings us to the end of the album. We're done with tab 4.
Done with tab 4. Time to move forward with this, I guess.
Yeah, 3 weeks was long after this one. I really enjoyed it though. We probably should do our band Brownlow and then perhaps
and then go to the overall thoughts.
Give the overall thoughts after that. Yeah. So maybe I'll go. I think you went first last time, so I'm happy to lead off this one. To me, this is Cosmic 3 clearly as the sort of artistic sort of driver of the band at this point, and as much for his vocals as his incredible still bass playing. I have loved seeing his evolution as an artist, and I haven't heard anything better from him to this point. This is great stuff from Cosmic. I'll give the 2 to Finn Ryan. As I mentioned, I really like the fact that he never overdoes it. But then, he doesn't underdo it either. He's a beautiful guitar player. Some lovely melodic solos. He's certainly not a shredder, but I don't think this album. I think if you brought back Mundell for this album, you would have been thinking, what's this guy doing? Go away. This needs Finn Ryan on it, and lovely. Pantella, I didn't mind. I think we've lost a little bit of personality with the departure of Ackerman in the drums, in the rhythm section. But, he does his job admirably. But, 3 for Cosmic for me.
So, as well, I had 3 for Cosmic. I like the Mellotron. I enjoy that he brought that in.
Yep.
I had 2 for Finn Ryan. I think that the new direction of the band, I do believe he's the driver.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cosmic has sort of grown as an artist as well, and it's sort of alongside Finn Ryan. But I still Cosmic's still going to get my 3. I like the bass grooves. I like his melodies, his harmony singing, the Mellotron. And then my 1 goes to Pantella as well. And first off, here's what I was thinking with Pantella. He is stylistically completely different than Ackerman. And be that as it may, for better or for worse. But the one thing that he does do is he has more restraint than Ackerman did. And he definitely, I feel like he brings more breathing room for the other guys to sort of fill in. And so maybe he is necessary to this new direction. So as you said, that Mundell wouldn't fit in this style. Maybe Ackerman wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Maybe Ackerman was just too busy for what they needed, his style of playing, because but the thing is that, so as I say that Pantella comes in and giving them breathing room, nothing about this album sounds sparse, right? No. Let's not lose sight of the fact that this is a 3-piece. I mean, this is such a big sound coming out of a 3-piece. And there, nothing is sparse. There's no emptiness anywhere. Which is, I know that you were supposed to, and you were supposed to go see them live this summer. And this album, listening to this is just, I would love to hear how they do this live. I think it would be. I would love to see them live.
Yeah, I'd love to see them live. The problem is, I think that's one of the conflicts. We spoke about the conflict between old Bitchwax, new Bitchwax, and even new Bitchwax. I think we're starting to see a little bit of a conflict between live Bitchwax and album Bitchwax, because I don't see much of this album in their live performances. Unfortunately.
Right. Well, so that's interesting. So I wonder if. So I wonder what the direction. I mean, we've got the 2 full albums left, and we'll get to that in a second. But okay, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, but to me, that's a bit of a shame, though. I mean, they almost deny. I've seen them live. I've been sort of trawling through some YouTube footage, and I've seen them. Like Cosnick would say, at one point, I heard him say in a recent live gig, "Do you want us to play the slow one or the fast one?" And he said, "Oh, it's a trick question. We don't have any slow ones." And I'm thinking, hang on, I've just listened to an album with 3 or 4 really good slow ones, and embrace it. Like, you don't have to. This sort of macho, we play fast and sort of persona that they've developed as a live act. You don't. If you're going to evolve on your albums, then hopefully you can evolve live too. I don't know. Maybe that would change if I actually went and saw them live. I don't know, but it seems to be something that internally they haven't quite come to terms with.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. We need another live album out of them. Let that be the judge.
We need a vaccine.
We need a vaccine
before June.
Right. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, I don't either, unfortunately.
All right.
So your thoughts overall?
I liked it. I enjoyed the album. I was by the end I was pleasantly swayed to be more open to what they were doing than I was when I first heard it.
Yeah. No, my thoughts on this changed over the 3 weeks. Initially I was a little bit frustrated at what I thought was them not being able to pick a style and stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
But by the end, I grew to love this album. I think I really enjoyed this album, and I will come back to this long after this podcast series is finished. I'm glad I've had the 3 weeks to spend with it. It's grown on me, and yeah, this, I think seeing it in the context of where it's come from the previous 3 albums, has also helped me to appreciate that these guys, and Chris Cosnick in particular, has had to grow as an artist and to sort of embrace a side of himself that he may have been reluctant to embrace on the earlier albums. And right. I think of the 4, I love those first 2. I'll always like those first 2 as well as fun rocking albums, but I think this might be my favorite of the 4 so far.
Yeah, trying to think. I'm torn. I'm actually torn between this one or the first one.
Okay.
I really do like that first one.
All right. Well, at least, yeah, but at least you could leave this one out and you're not going to get in trouble from your nieces. I think Cosnick, another interview I saw with him, he was kind of frustrated that people always love the first album, but would put out some other good albums, and I think that's a source of frustration for him too. But I'm never a I like your old stuff better than your new stuff kind of guy. I'm always the opposite, and I always appreciate when bands make the effort to evolve, and I've seen that a lot on this album, and this sort of puts 3 in context for me. It's like, oh, that's where they were trying to get to, and I think they've almost got there now. Certainly on 3 or 4 of the songs. So thoroughly enjoyed it. And I was hoping, I came out of this thinking, now I'd really like something more like this. But alas, we're not going to get it on the next album. So we've got the next album is one called The Local Fuzz, which is going to be one 42-minute song with no vocals.
Yeah.
It might be great.
It might be. So it's just I didn't. So this was not, for whatever reason, I was not in my research. I had not. I wasn't aware. I was expecting to, and we talked about this already. I was expecting to move on to Gravitron, and then you had brought it to my attention that, I think a couple days ago, actually.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's that one in between, and so not knowing of it is sort of like a surprise. Where I am curious to hear it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to spend 2 weeks with it, though.
No, I'm hoping we can knock this one out in 1 week. To be honest, because our track by track's going to be much
pretty limited. So we could just look at it like a little bonus episode.
Yeah, let's treat it that way, and let's circumstances permitting, try and get this one knocked out in a week, because I don't think I can spend 2 weeks with one 42-minute song.
No, I don't. I'm not sure that I can either.
Yeah, so let's aim for that. But to me, it's just. And my theory is that because of those 3 crashing waves that I spoke about earlier, label, genre, and albums as a whole, they just didn't get enough positive feedback, positive reviews, and sales to convince them that they were on the right path with this album. And they've said, oh, well, let's just do something else, which to me is a real shame. Hopefully they'll come back to this later. And in hearing Cosnick interviewed about the very new album, I think, this sort of songcraft that was seen on this album is not something that they're going to throw away. I think they will come back to this after they get through The Local Fuzz, hopefully. Because I thought they were onto something here with several of the songs on this album.
Yeah, I agree. Do we know who's on? So who's on the new album?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's the same lineup, but I don't think. Yeah, they haven't changed. They didn't change guitarists until
just recently.
Just recently, yeah, like a year ago. So we'll get Finn Ryan. I think we'll get this lineup right through to. So we'll get through Gravitron and Force Field, and then we won't have a lineup change until the new album comes out in May.
Okay, so we do think. I mean, so the new guitar player is probably, so that could be vastly different.
Could be. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
All part of the journey.
All right.
So that about wraps things up. Thanks for listening, listeners. Don't forget to contact us. We did have one contact. There was a podcast called the 9-8, sort of prog-focused podcast from out of Australia, who reached out to us last week. So I'll put a link to them in the show notes. If that sort of stuff appeals to you, then please seek them out. You can contact us through our website, unshuffledpod.com, on Twitter @unshuffledpod, and Gmail, unshuffledpod@gmail. So yeah, please, if you are listening, wherever you are around the world, please let us know. And also, of course, a big thank you to Small Stone and Seven Planets for allowing us the honor of using such a great track in our opening and closing little snippet. We really appreciate that, and great label, by the way, Small Stone. So if you are looking for some new music to listen to in this, while you're hunkered down in your underground lair, then get to the Small Stone website and grab 7 Planets while you're there. Any final thoughts, Scott?
My copy of 7 Planets is actually on its way.
Oh, nice.
It was supposed to be here already. I don't know. It got, as things are happening, it got delayed. So
Vinyl?
It'll be here. Yeah, vinyl. And I don't even have a record player here, so I got to wait till I get back to Jakarta before I can actually listen to any of this. But
okay,
in time.
Yeah, my my sack of Bitchwax CDs is still stuck in some customs official's office somewhere.
Oh, gee, well, I'll when we shut this thing down, I can give you my address if you need to send anything here.
Yeah, I might have to do that. Well, we can in 2023 when this whole virus thing dies down, I can get them off you. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, listeners, for sticking with us for another long and in-depth talk through an album that we both enjoyed. And yeah, keep listening intentionally. Buy the physical media if you can. The artists would really appreciate it if you can do all of this legally, as we've been doing. And I think there is something special about grabbing a physical copy and putting it on your record player and your CD player, and just sitting down and pressing play, and putting the phone aside, the laptops, and just listening. And I think certainly with an album like this, it really paid off.
I agree. All right. Well, yes. Thank you, everybody, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Yep. All right. Thanks, folks.